So, do you guys remember when I reviewed Guess? That one Roblox film by Rocky Hardy who ripped off not just one, but two well-known Roblox movies? Well, in that review, I mentioned The Last Guess, and in this video, I'll be talking about and reviewing the movie. The Last Guess is an action Roblox film created by Matt, or better known as Oblivious HD. The movie is about a guest who is the last of his kind. Or he was until Matt decided to release those sequels. After the Bacon army wiped them out, except for himself, who's later joined the Robloxian army and dies in the war, thus wiping out the entire guest species. The film is actually inspired by Life Isn't Perfect, that one slideshow that was released onto YouTube. The Last Guess received over 27 million views, and the full movie received a whopping of 86 million views, and the movie also won the 2019 Bloxy Awards for Best Video. But I have to say, the film itself didn't really age well. It was impressive at the time considering that Moon Animator didn't exist, so Matt relied on the Roblox Studio scripting program, as well as Mixamo and a screen recording program in order to record the film. And he also hired some people on Discord to voice the lines, either for the better or for the worse.
Or all because of one man. For the first time in 30 years.
Before I begin actually talking about this movie, I must ask you all to not harass anyone that is mentioned in this review, or as well as harass me for voicing my own opinion. I am not trying to start any fights, I'm just providing my own constructive criticism. Not disgustive. Just because I'm a fan of Oblivious HD movies, and made some fan stuff in the past, does not mean I couldn't criticize the series. Just like how I'm a fan of the YouTube series like Hell of a Boss, doesn't mean I don't have any fair share of issues with the series or the creator herself. Oh, and I'm also gonna mention that I'm only reviewing part 1, not 2, 3, or 4. I might review those last 3 if this video reaches around 1,500 views, or a lot of people show interest for me to talk about the other parts. And to make things fair on Matt, I'll be reviewing part 1 for the full movie version since it's updated and replace some scenes that I guess Matt felt it didn't fit well with the movie. But with that out of the way, let's start the review. So this movie begins and we are first introduced to our main character, who is named Guess. No, I'm serious, they legitimately named their own son after their own species. They don't even give him a proper name for whatever god no reason. Why not name him Gabriel or something? Like hell, another character from part 2 has an actual name, and she's a Guess, but anyways. So Guess is concerned because there's no words.
I'm scared, Dad. Why are guests like us disappearing?
I think the reason the guests are disappearing is because of the fact that people are choosing to actually sign up rather than selecting whether or not they want to be a boy guest or a girl guest. Anyhow, it then cuts to show Guess about to begin school, but he's sad because he is worried that he won't be able to make friends because he's a guest. While his parents try to console him, it then shows how students discriminating him and his parents because kids can be assholes. And so I guess parents try to comfort him by saying,
Be strong, little man.
Always be strong.
I'm sorry, but that line is just fucking calling us out. I get it, it's supposed to cheer him up and motivate Guess, but it just sounds terrible and Matt should have tried to create a more meaningful quote, but whatever. So yeah, Guess are hated in society, kinda like how in the Roblox fanbase back then, if you play as a Guess, you're 99% guaranteed to get insulted by people who actually have Roblox accounts. Like hell. I remember playing this one roleplay game, which I unfortunately forgot the name of it, and there was this one person who was making fun of this Guess for not being able to say anything, because chat features are disabled for Guess. And then there was this old FNAF RP game I used to play that has a system that automatically kicks Guess. Now, how do I know this? Because every time a Guess joins, they are immediately disappeared from the game, so I assume that the creator had a script that automatically bans or kicks them from their game. Anyways, back to the review. And then we introduced to the Bacon General, who decided to ruin this kid's day playing in the rain by shooting his parents in front of him. And once again, these parents are not being the bad parent allegations because where the hell is this raincoat? He's gonna get sick. In fact, this entire movie series shouldn't even be called The Last Guess. It should be called The Bacon General Does a Guess a Favour. But for some reason in this scene, he doesn't shoot Guess either. Instead, I'm assuming he fled the scene because of someone calling the police. But then it shows Guest visiting his parents in the hospital, who unfortunately died from their injuries. Good riddance, they were bad parents anyways. Next, it shows Guest at an orphanage because I'm assuming that he doesn't have any family members left, which, not surprising at all. And this is where we meet a Robloxian who, unlike those kids from school, actually is nice to Guest for once. And she too was sent to the orphanage long ago. And they became best friends. And it showed Guest playing outside only to see Daisy being picked on by a group of bullies because once again, kids are assholes. So Guest confront the bullies and they all turn around and say, man, these guys think so well that instead of bullying, they should all get into synchronized dancing. Anyways, so Guest tries to stand up to the bullies, and he was able to beat their asses, and he helps Daisy wait, hang on, there's a typo in my script. No, he actually gets beaten down by one of the bullies.
You weak, pathetic Guest. No wonder your species died out.
Holy fucking chill out. And jumping out of nowhere is Matt, who tackles the bully to the ground. And if Matt looks familiar, yes. This is in fact Oblivious HD's self-insert, but instead of being voiced by Matt himself, he is voiced by Shaz Refinel, who also voices Guest and, ironically enough, the Bacon General. Now, I do not have anything wrong with self-inserts in films and TV shows, as long as it's done right. Like, give them some flaws, or no plot armor at all. Matt, unfortunately, is a good example of a self-insert done right, considering that he doesn't really have any flaws. He rarely gets seriously harmed except for that one time they'll get to later. And lastly, he feels too perfect. Anyways, Guest gets up, and him, Matt, and Daisy instantly becomes friends. It cuts to them heading back to the orphanage, and it's revealed that the Bacon Channel is spying on them, somehow knowing where they are. Then it cuts to a montage of the kids doing kid stuff, like playing Mario Kart with their Xbox 360 controllers, and the screen shows that they're playing a 4-player game despite there's only 3 of them playing. I'm assuming that the Bacon Channel is playing too, but inside that closet over there. Then it shows Guest and Matt playing video games. Daisy and Guest play video games. Jesus fucking Christ, why are they playing video games all the time? Even on Christmas they're playing fucking video games. Also, why is there always a Nintendo game? In fact, they ain't even playing those games on the Wii or Switch. They're playing them on the Xbox, I'm pretty sure. Matt could have grabbed some footage from Xbox games by either simply typing one of the Xbox games onto your YouTube search bar, or record his own footage. I'm pretty sure the footage shown in the last guess isn't his. Oh, and I love that Daisy looks like she just came back from South Park.
Oh my god, I killed Kenny!
Daisy.
No, I killed Kenny yesterday. What did I do now?
While Guest and Daisy are relaxing with each other, Matt comes running into the room telling them that the Bacon soldiers are in the orphanage. So they hide in one of the closets, and the Bacon General walks in with his gun ready to fire at the children. Now, this scene, it tries really hard to make it feel intense, but considering that there are 2 closets in the room, it just feels predictable. So the Bacon General opens one of the closets, and no surprise, the kids are not in there. He for some reason stands around being all like,
Looks like I was wrong.
You don't say!
and then he hears the police sirens, and so he made a run for it out of the room. Which later reveals that Matt, Guest and Daisy were both hiding in the second closet near the door, which the Bacon General had plenty of time to turn around and check the second closet after it was revealed that they were not in there. But no, he just stood around. In fact, if I was him, I would not waste my time and just open the closet and just open fire. But, oh well. So, the military is outside of the orphanage, alongside the police, who tells Guest that he is lucky to be alive, and even tells the kid that he should join the army when he's older. Okay, but who the F says that to a child? An orphan, to be frank, who has just experienced a traumatizing event. Dude, his orphanage just being raided, and possibly some of the children were most likely killed during that raid. And you don't go ahead and say, hey, you should join the army when you're older. That's like telling a child who survived a fire that broke out in their house and telling them, you should join the fire brigade when you're older. Like, bro, that's disrespectful. Anyways, it then shows guests getting married to Daisy, and everyone claps. And it shows guests painting the walls of their baby's room, which, yes, Daisy is pregnant. And yes, they just broke Roblox rules, but that's besides the point. Also, how did Daisy not break Guess's back or shoulders when doing that? Plus, I'm sure that isn't safe for the baby either. Then it cuts to them at the hospital, and their child is born without limbs and already crawling. Roblox babies are scary, Jesus Christ. Another thing, why does the child look exactly like Daisy? Why doesn't she share any of Guess's DNA? Did Daisy cheat on him behind his back? Anyhow, if you're wondering what's the child name, it's Charlotte or Charlie. And it cuts to them watching television. Guess chases the shuttle, and we learn that the family of Guess were murdered, and Guess is the last of his species. Which, let me just say, when I do decide to review the other sequels, please put a pin on that. So, Guess pulls out a piece of blank paper, which suddenly shows a picture of him when he was a kid and his deceased parents. I'm assuming that Guess somehow got a hold onto some psychic paper. You know, the paper that the Doctor from Doctor Who uses. Then it shows Guess at the empty bar with his friend Matt, telling him about his concerns about his family. And for some reason they're both drinking Coca-Cola instead of beer. Who the hell goes to a bar and asks a bartender for a can of Coke? So they decide to join the Robloxian army. Guess says his goodbyes to his family, and they have a shaky ride to the army base. Guess put his bag on one of the bunk beds, and he encounters the same bullies who picked on him from long ago. Also, the fuck is that camera angle effect? It looks weird the way the camera just moves like that, and it doesn't look great or smooth at all. Anyways, these bullies seem to have never grew up, still acting like asshole kids. Guess walks away like a coward, but it turns out he was preparing to run up and kung fu kick the bullies, which he caused both of them to fall to the ground. A bunch of soldiers are impressed by what Guess did to the bullies. It then shows them training and finally they're at war against the Bacon Army.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Guess managed to save one of the soldiers' lives when the Bacon have fired a fiery cannonball at the tank that Guess and the other soldiers were hiding behind, instead of an RPG rocket or something. After the soldiers grateful about Guess saving his life, it then cuts to Matt shooting at the Bacon soldiers. Unfortunately, he ends up being shot while Guess was sitting on his ass doing jack shit. And this shows Guess who I hope he's actually trying to revive Matt because that just looks wrong to me. The general orders the soldiers to retreat, but Guess refuses and runs headfirst into the Bacon soldiers' line of fire. Somehow, he's able to do some kung fu moves on some of the soldiers, who for some reason aren't shooting at him. But then again, even when they are shooting at him, he's just dodging all of their bullets. He throws a grenade at them, causing the Bacon soldiers to explode into literal pieces. As Guess continues running, he ends up being shot. And who shot him, you may ask? Well, it's the Bacon general himself who looms over the man. He's ready to kill him, or as he says in his own words,
"Before I blow your brains out."
The last Guess noticed an oil tank behind him, and so he says this to him.
Yeah! Go to hell!
And he rolls a grenade at the Bacon general, who doesn't even make a run for it and just slowly looks down at the object in shock. Also, it somehow explodes, despite the fact that it didn't show Guess pulling the pin out. That should have added an animation that shows that. But considering that he uses nothing but mixer mode to help with his animations, I'm guessing that he couldn't find an animation for a pulling grenade pin. But it then cuts to show Charlotte and Daisy back at their home. Daisy gets a knock at the door when she is greeted by a soldier, who lets her know that her husband had died in the war. It then cuts to show Builderman honouring the last Guess, and it's revealed that he made a statue to honour the Guess that had become extinct because of the Bacon Army. Even though it was the admins who removed the Guess from Roblox in the first place. Then after Builderman gave his speech, Matt is revealed to be alive and somehow has a broken leg, even though he was clearly shot in the chest, but whatever. He gave his speech, and it fades to show Matt giving Charlotte a piece of paper that her father managed to slip into his friend's pocket while he was unconscious. It was a message to Charlotte, which she was able to somehow write while in the battlefield. And I'm sorry, I know this scene is supposed to be bittersweet and touching, but Where the fuck did Guess got a pencil and paper from? Like, who the hell brings a pencil and paper into a battlefield? You ain't playing rock, paper, scissors with the bacon army, you know. And the scene ends with Guess saying his infamous catchphrase, "Be scrum, always be scrum." And that's the end of the movie. Till Oblivious HD's fans convince him to make 3 more pointless sequels. So, what's my thoughts? The movie isn't great, but it isn't bad either. I can say that the movie was good back in 2017. The beginning bit of the film feels boring and dragged out. There is barely any dialogue that moves the film along. Or, when there is dialogue, some of it is just pointless and makes me go, why is this here? There are some scenes that are just pointless to the point that if you remove them from the movie, no one would notice. Like the scene where Guess is painting his daughter's room with his wife, Daisy. Or the scene where Guess is fighting one of the bullies at the army base. Then there are scenes where they want to be serious but they fail at it and end up being just goofy or not serious at all. Take the orphanage raid scene for example. It is really wants the audience to feel concerned and scared for Guess, Daisy and Matt because the Bacon Channel is trying to find them, but it feels too predictable and doesn't have suspense feeling to it. But overall, I will give Matt some slack since this was a film made back in 2017 when he was just a teenager at the time, and just didn't know how to write a proper movie or set up a story, which is shown in the sequels of the movie as well as the Bacon Hair, which I'm thinking about revealing that movie next. And before you all start accusing me of attacking Matt or trying to get him to quit his career of being a Roblox movie producer, even though he has been confirmed that Matt quit already, that isn't my intention. When I make my reviews, my intention is to criticise and point out how a person can improve, or what they should have done next time to avoid those mistakes. I believe in constructive criticism, not destructive. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you have any Roblox movies you suggest me to talk about, feel free to leave a comment below. Goodbye.